Happy Tuesday, Wall Street Bets New. Today, going to be taking a look at GameStop as well as the major market indexes. I also got a few requests, so going to be taking a look at those stocks. For those of you who watch daily, if there are any tickers that I don't cover on the stream or on the video that you want me to take a look at, please feel free to post them in the comments, and I will take a look at them tomorrow. Additionally, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to like and subscribe. So starting today, we're going to take a look at GameStop. So I was pretty excited yesterday with the setup on GameStop as it did look like we were breaking out above this triangle. And that's exactly what we did. We can see from yesterday's close to open today, there was a nice pop of 8%. Now on the day, we're only up about 3.2%, but still a very, very nice pop out of this consolidation pattern, this triangle. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we do come all the way back down into yesterday's close, maybe back down to 170, 169, or even back down to this 1-day 21, this yellow line. But overall, I do think GameStop is potentially breaking out here. It may take a few days, it might take a few weeks, but I do like what I'm seeing here overall. In regards to the oscillators, we do have RSI above the midline and crossing above its EMA. We have stochastics coming back up into the neutral zone, getting close to the midline, as well as crossing over its EMA. So the oscillators on the 1 day looking very good. We're above major support at 154. We're above major EMA, the 1-day 21, this yellow line, coming in at 165. And we are popping off today. I would like to see volume really break out today. We have about 3 hours left in the trading day, and the volume is 6.5 million shares with an average of 9 million shares. So right on track for about average volume. I would like to see it above average, as that would really kind of confirm to me that this is a true breakout. Now let's go down to the lower time frames. Lower time frames, clearly that we're seeing some sell pressure come in today from the open after the nice pop. Still above the 4-hour 21 and 4-hour 55. We can see the 4-hour 21 actually cross below the 4-hour 55 on April 13th. So I would like to see that cross back up in the next day or so, as that would be a nice bullish signal. But as long as price action's above yesterday's close at 169 or around 170, overall I think things still do look good. We have on the 4-hour time frame, the oscillators also looking good. We have stochastics coming back up into the midline right now, giving a read of 46. Definitely crossed up in a very bullish posture. As well, we have RSI crossing up above the midline, giving a read of 54 in a very bullish posture above the midline. So overall, RSI and stochastics looking very strong here. I would obviously like to see price action get bought up a little bit more as we are continuing to sell down a little bit, but overall, I'm okay with what we're seeing. Now down to the hourly, we can see price action right now is actually resting right on the 1-hour 200, this SMA. We can see the major moving 1-hour moving averages grouping up the 21, 55, 100, and 200, all grouping up in this area right on this diagonal triangle trend line. So I do think if price action were to come back down to this area, very likely we would see some major support here. So if price action were to come back down and test this top diagonal, which does happen quite often when you're technically trading, you often see retests of major diagonals or major horizontal supports. So a retest of even the low 160s wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but obviously we preferred for that not to happen. But if it does happen, watch this area and see how price action does react. With that said, we do have the oscillators RSI crossing down in lower time frames, as well as stochastics. So while the higher time frames do look very strong, the lower time frames, specifically the 1-hour, is giving a little bit of a sell signal. So we could see some more downside into today. But overall, I would say as long as price action closes the day above like 169, 170, overall things do look good. Basically, we just want to see a positive day with high volume, and that would be a very good look. Now on to the major market indexes. Going to take a look at SPY. So SPY, pretty slow day today for SPY relative to kind of the volatility we've seen recently. Not too much to talk about here. Essentially, SPY, having its third highest day ever. We can see the highest day was made last Friday. Then we have Monday. So actually, probably with the fourth holiday. Either way, SPY is very, very close to all-time highs. So typically, when any sort of index or equity is close to all-time highs, you're going to see some tricky price action. So for me, this is kind of a patience. I'm going to wait and see what happens over the next few days. With that said, we do have RSI with a pretty interesting read here. We have RSI popping back up yesterday on Monday, testing the bull control zone around 65 and actually getting rejected, as well as getting rejected off of the RSI EMA. So pretty interesting to see RSI get rejected not only once, but actually twice recently off of its EMA. Typically, that's a pretty bearish signal. As well, we have stochastic coming back down close to the 80 extreme and starting to cross back around, but not quite coming around yet. So interesting to see that here, as well as we could potentially, if we do see some more downside, actually see RSI and stochastics cross down on the 1 day for SPY, which would be quite an interesting signal. If that were to happen, I wouldn't be surprised to see price action come back down to like the 410, 412 region, test this major horizontal, and test the 1 day 21. QQQ with a bit more downside today, down 0.38% at the moment, but really nothing significant relative to the kind of price action we've seen recently. Still very, very close to all-time highs. Only about, let's see, right now it's getting a read. We are only about 0.6% off of all-time high, so pretty much right there. We are actually seeing, though, on QQQ, we're seeing RSI crossing down right now, and we're seeing stochastics cross down below the 80 extreme. And when stochastics cross back below this 80 extreme, this is typically the sell signal. So now we are actually starting to see some sell signals on QQQ. And with RSI crossing down, not yet, I mean, there is time left in the day, so nothing's confirmed yet. But the way things are looking now, QQQ is looking a bit weak. With that said, similar to SPY, if we do see some downside, I would expect these major horizontals around 336, 335, and potentially even the 1 day 21 around 334 to get tested, which relative to the pump that QQQ's had recently, a pullback of 1.5 to 2% is really nothing big, but the way the oscillators are setting up, we could see something like that coming into the end of this week or maybe early next week. I did get a few requests for individual stocks to look at. So I got a request in the Discord for OCGN. So I'm going to take a look at this real quick. This is not something I'm too familiar with, so I'm going to have to take a quick look here. It looks like clearly at the end of December, this to get a very, very nice pump. So let's measure this move from end of December to its highs on February 8th. There was a 4,600% move, so 46x on this, which is ridiculous. And even since that, we're still 2,500. So relative to where this was trading last year, this is very, very high. On a technical level, there's really not too much to talk about here, unfortunately. So technical is my expertise, so I tend to stick to that. With that said, we are above the major EMAs, the 1 day 21 and 1 day 55. Looks like we got a very, very nice bounce off the 1 day 100. And potentially it looks like we're right on some sort of horizontal support, as we can see a lot of touches in this area around 1050. So if we do close, let's put some horizontals, like pretty much right where price action is right now, around 1060. If we close above here, things are looking relatively strong. With that said, it looks like in total we've only had about 10 to 15 days above 1060. So we are, if we do close above here, going higher does seem likely. Let's take a look at the oscillators. The oscillators right now are stochastics are in a very, very nice bullish posture. RSI also kind of crossed up but coming back down today, as we're seeing price action down 8%. So overall, what I would look for on a very daily basis, do we close above 1050, 1060 today? If we do, this could see some further upside, especially with what we're seeing today so far in price action, a huge wick to the downside getting bought up, which tells us a lot of buyers in the market today, right? A lot of buyers buying the dip. So that is something you always want to see on a stock you're bullish on. But overall, there's really not enough price action on a technical level to make any sort of really good analysis on what I'm seeing here. So it really would depend if you're looking to get into this stock, if you're long on it or short on it, or looking to enter a new position. That's kind of how you would depending on your current position, you're going to play this differently. But overall, things looking okay at the moment. Another request I got for today is HYSR. This is also an equity I'm not too familiar with. Kind of the same story as OCGN. A huge pump from end of November into where price action is right now, up 1,200%. But this one on a technical level does give me a little bit more to work with, as we are seeing some very nice bounces off the 1 day 200. Let's measure these moves out, right? So the first bounce off the 1 day 200 gave you an 80% trade. The second bounce off this area would have given you a 50% trade. And it looks like right now we're in the third bounce. So the third bounce is right now up 20%. So I'd say as long as, HYSR keeps coming down and testing this 1 day 200, you can keep buying the bounces and potentially selling when we get some downwards price action. With that said, this could potentially have some more upside. We are seeing some very clear rejection right now off the 1-day 55 and 1-day 100. Those are the green and blue lines. If price action is to break above these areas, let's say it gets above 12 cents, that would make me a bit more bullish. As for now, it looks like we're seeing some sell pressure here. Let's take a look at the oscillators. We have stochastics and RSI both crossing up, so that is a good sign. So the way the oscillators are setting up here, if we are able to get above, let's say 12.12 or this 1-day 55 specifically, I really think this one could run. But until then, I would be patient. So with that said, just to recap, GameStop, overall, I think we're getting that breakout that I was looking for yesterday. I would like to see price action close the day, positive with some higher volume than average, as that would confirm the breakout. But overall, this is looking very good. And if this breakout holds, I could see GameStop really going on a run over the next few weeks. It might take a few days, as typically when these breakouts happen, it could take anywhere from a day to weeks before the run really starts. But from what I'm seeing here, I would expect to see some further upside. All right, well, thank you for watching, and please, if there's any tickers you want to take a look at, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and if you're in the Discord, feel free to reach out and message me. Have a great rest of your day.